Hello everyone, I'm Venkat. I'm studying BCA in ICCA College at Davangere. Today I will tell about the topics of variable and the data types, and let us see about the in the common words. We know variable means the quantity which keeps on changing. Here in C, variable represents a computer memory, its location. It is actually used to store values, and the values we store in the variables can be changed according to our requirement. That is called actually what variable is. Then variable has its own address and it also has a name. If we take an example, this is a container. Actually variable represents a container, which means a memory location in a computer memory. Okay, this is a container and this is the value 5. We call this as a value, and a is a variable name here, and 1000 here is a variable address. We can store the values in a container, and the values stored can be changed according to our requirement, and a here is a variable name, and we can access the 5 means the value of the variable using variable address. Okay, this is a container and we store the values, which means we can store different values, and it has a name and we can access the value by using the variable address. Okay, and let us see about the syntax of the variable. Here is the data type and the name we will given to variable. This is the syntax. Let us see what data type means. Then examples, if we look on to examples of the variable, here is the int, char, float. These are the data types. Here I, j, k, these are the variables examples and their names. Int I, char c, these are the examples for variables. And if we come to the constants in general language we know constants means the quantity which doesn't change. In similar way, constants refer to the fixed value that the program may not change during its execution, which means the values of the constant doesn't change throughout the program. This is simple. Then if you look onto the types of constants, here is an integer constant, and here character constant and the floating constant. Here integer constant, for example, int a6 is the integer constant here, and a is the character constant here, and we always represent the character constant within the single inverted comma here, like this. Okay, then floating constant, here is the decimal values, we call it a floating constant. Float c 6.8 is the example for floating constant. Then if we look on to the data types, then data types are nothing but the words which specify what type of value a variable can store in it. Actually data type is a word which specifies what type of value a variable can store in it, and it also determines the size of the variable. Data type has two functions. First of all, it determines size of the variable, and it specifies what kind of value a variable can store in it. That is about data types, and let us see about the classification of data types. There are 3 types here. First of all, let us see about the integer data type, then character data type, and finally the floating data type. Here integer data type, we specify it as an int. For character data type, we take it as a char. For floating, and we take it as a float. And as we know, the data type specifies what type of value a variable can store in it, and it also specifies the size of the variable. Here is the example for the different size of the different variables. Here int, it takes 4 bytes, and char here it takes 1 byte. Float, it also takes 4 bytes. And other examples are, you can see here unsigned integer, it takes 4 bytes, and unsigned short integer, it takes 2 bytes. Float here 4 bytes, double 8 bytes, like this. And we can also have the format specifiers here. For specific data types, we have to use a specific format specifier. Here for integer we use %d, and unsigned integer we use %u, and for character %c is used, and finally for floating values we use %f. This is it. Then let us summarize what we seen so far. First we saw the variables, its definition, and we saw it through an example here. variable is nothing but a container. It stores different values, and the values can be changed according to the requirement of user, and it has a name and it has an address. We can access the value of the variable using the address. We saw the syntax and we saw the examples of the variable. Then when we come to the constants, we saw its definition, which means it doesn't change the constant. Then types of constants: integer constant, we saw character constant and floating constants. And if we come to the data types, we saw what the data type actually is and the classification of data type we saw. Then size of different data types also we went across. Okay, this is it for now. Thank you.